We are sad to be leaving New Mexico, but just the same, we are excited to be heading into Arizona. Arizona is a state we have visited many times before, and we love it because of its natural beauty and incredible ecological diversity. Our first stop on this trip is the Saguaro National Park. Travel days are both exhausting and invigorating. One fact of RV living is the joy we now get out of the sights we see along the roadside. The best objects are those which we least expect to find. Today's trip offers several highly artistic discoveries. Today, 35% of New Mexico's total electric power comes from wind power, with solar contributing another 4% to the mix, of which 1/4 of that comes from small-scale consumer submissions. 20 years before, 90% of the state's energy came from coal power generation plants. Since arriving in Texas back in February, we have been looking for roadrunners, and we have had very limited luck in this area. Today, we finally spot a large one, and Patty gets it on camera.
That's really good. That's exceptionally good, actually.
The majority of our drive today is on the I-10 interstate, a road that extends from coast to coast. Since leaving the Gulf Shores, we have avoided roads that are in close proximity to the southern border. Today's trek is about as close as we want to get. The conditions on this day are great. The weather is warm, but the wind and the hills we face are minimal. The landscapes are ever-changing and beautiful. Speaking of landscapes, the Black Mountain Range extends well into the southwestern New Mexico, and it's what we see to our right while departing the state. Today's trek has us leaving the Chihuahuan Desert and headed through a strip of the Colorado Plateau, ending up at the edge of the Sonoran Desert region. The geology changes noticeably along our trip as New Mexico is quite dry, and Tucson is strangely green due to the abundant rains this year. Only 2 days before our arrival, the park we are staying at got 2 inches of snow. We've made it to Arizona, and the road immediately de-evolves into a bunch of potholes. Our initial stop is at Saguaro National Park, which is just outside of Tucson. Our intention on arriving here at this time of the year is to try and catch the desert in spring bloom. Unfortunately, the flowers are a bit behind this year due to cold. The joke in Arizona is that they have 6 seasons, and there's a great deal of truth to this, with summer transitioning into nearly unbearable heat, and then later in the year, monsoon rains. Our travel through Arizona has us stopping at a lot of places. To do this, we pass through the state twice. The first time, we begin in Tucson and go north up to the Grand Canyon and exit through Page. The second loop has us pass around the state and enter centrally in the west and exit eastward. The second pass has us visiting the Petrified Forest National Park on the way out. The Sonoran Desert has a subtropical climate and receives between 3 and a not insignificant 20 inches of rain per year. Most of this moisture comes via storms in the monsoon season. As a result of this, the Sonoran Desert is the most diverse of all North American deserts. Besides the signature saguaro cactus, numerous other cactus are common, such as the barrel cactus, the prickly pear, and the cholla. Other common plants include the yucca, mesquite tree, and creosote bush. All in all, the Sonoran Desert is a very green and lush desert. The signature saguaro cactus is the largest cactus of the U.S., commonly reaching 40 feet in height and weighing more than 6 tons. The saguaro grows only in the Sonoran Desert of the U.S. and Mexico. Its range is limited by freezing temperatures and altitude, growing only at an elevation less than 4,000 feet. Saguaros are very slow growing, with branches not appearing until the cactus is at least 50 to 75 years old. The typical lifespan of saguaro is about 150 to 175 years. We arrive at Gilbert Ray campground, and we are completely taken in by the beautiful surroundings. The campground perfectly projects the iconic character emblematic of the Southwest. Soon, however, we are proven wrong. As the sun sets, the sky explodes, in a bevy of color that we simply stare at in humble awe. Besides Gilbert Ray offering beautiful surroundings, it also provides several nice hiking trails both within the park and nearby, as well as biking trails that Lucas takes advantage of. The Sonoran Desert Museum is located nearby the Gilbert Ray campground. It is a complex of many things, including a zoo, a botanical garden, and a museum about the natural world. While I normally avoid zoos, as I do not like viewing the animals in a captured state, here one can see many creatures that would otherwise be dangerous or impossible to see. Lucas really seems to enjoy himself here. He engages with the volunteer instructors and delves into photographing many of the plants and animals he sees here, even some of the interlopers to the park.
Well, we used to have all the others out there, but we couldn't find a source of food. And they tried to get them to eat worms and so forth. But they like to eat this black ants that are
All the plants and animals presented within the museum are those that are native to the Sonoran region. As we do with all the parks that we visit, we head out to the visitor center first and then onto the trails to take in a hike or two. Just prior to our arriving in Tucson, a couple of inches of snow fell in the area. We are informed that this event set back the spring bloom a week or two, so we see very few blooms within the park. However, those plants that we come across that are flowering prove quite rewarding in contrast to the greens and browns all around. Besides the flowers that we enjoy, the trail also provides a surprise in that we see petroglyphs in some of the rocks along the trail. One objective that we had in this visit was to recreate a photo that we took of Lucas in 2016. We find the same spot and make the photo. What do you think of the results? GoPro, stop recording.